JJ Perez with Inside Runner Sports. Greg Lucas, San Antonio Express News. Here at the historic Sunbelt.
It's historic?
Yeah.
There's a mountain like right there, like 10 feet that way.
Yeah.
It's incredible.
UTSA comes away with the big 26-16 win. The Roadrunners get their second win of the season. Greg, what are some of your biggest takeaways? Obviously, the run game.
It's the run game. Yeah, you got to go with the run game. I think they said it was the second time in program history
Right.
there's been two 100-yard rushers.
Right.
So Sincere McCormick sets the program record with 189.
Yeah, breaking Jarvion's 186.
And Lowell Narcisse comes through with 115 on the ground, too. And they were both extremely effective, obviously, to put up numbers like that. But just kind of kept the chains moving. It felt like Sincere had a bunch of, would pick up chunks of 20 or 30 here or there, and then broke the 51-yard run to kind of seal the game in the fourth quarter. And Lowell, didn't do much with his arm.
Right.
When he completed like four or five
They
passes.
didn't ask him to do too much.
And
right?
Because they were running the ball so well, they didn't really need to. But he really moved the chains with his legs. There was that 3rd and 13 play where he ran for like 18 yards and broke five tackles.
That was amazing.
That was crazy.
And then he had that touchdown pass later that drive where he was falling out of bounds.
Yeah, that one was crazy. I think everybody thought he was out of bounds, and he almost looked like he jumped and then threw the pass.
Yeah,
and he was basically over the out of bounds when he let go of it. But he said he saw that the defender at his back turned, so he gave Blazemore had a shot to make a play, and he did. So a pretty good effort for the Roadrunners overall. And then defensively, I thought they were pretty sound too. What did you think of that end?
Well, it looked like in the middle of the game that UTEP was starting to get something going, but then, they just really clamped down, and, UTEP had that quarterback change in the third quarter. That
was like the one real good drive they put together.
And it looked like the game was going to be close and maybe a barn burner, but, UTSA just did enough to kind of get off the field and made enough plays offensively and kind of won the game where they've lost. Like the Army game where they lost the Army. They didn't make the plays, so they did that tonight, which, obviously UTEP is not a top-notch program. They're probably the bottom feeder of Conference USA this year, but, it's still a win after coming away with 3 straight losses. They needed it. Did you feel that sense after the game that they needed the win?
Yeah, I think that's right. They really did need to get one. They hadn't won a game in, it was almost 365 days. They beat Rice on October 6th or 7th last year.
Yeah.
So to get that Schneid ended after 7 straight conference games, 9 straight against FBS teams, to actually get in the win column, I think helps them not just to have it, but to continue to build on it, to have something positive to take into another week of practice where it's not just negative and pushing through adversity and that. They actually have something that they can feel good about, and that can help them grow in a lot of ways too, hopefully.
Yeah, I think the biggest game for me is this run game. I think I could pinpoint back to 2 seasons where they weren't able to run the ball, and they haven't been consistent in that for the greater part of 2 seasons. And now you have a guy in Sincere McCormick, just looks like this was a breakout game for him, I think.
Certainly Sincere, if there was any doubt that he's going to be a special player for the program for years to come, I think that was answered today. I think everybody's pretty clear on that now, but you have to be concerned if the offense is one-dimensional. A lot of other teams will take this away. You can't play against Southern Miss like this, for instance. Teams like that will be able to load up the box and take it away, where UTEP just is not a good enough team to take away the one thing you can do well if you can do one thing really well.
Yeah.
But I think that's the basis of what you want to do with Lowell at quarterback, because he's 6'3", 230, and because you have a few good running backs. We saw B.J. Daniels today for the first time in 3 or 4 weeks. So I think that they can mix it up at running back. They can give Lowell a lot of carries because he's going to hold up physically, you would think, just based on his size. I know he hasn't played that much, but he has the frame to hold up physically to take a pounding. So I think that they've found kind of a formula that works for them on offense.
What about Lowell moving forward? Frank Harris was not here tonight. UTSA traveled 4 quarterbacks. Frank Harris was not one of them. Apparently, Lowell had a nice message to Frank on his wrist, and it's one of those.
7.
And can the Roadrunners make hay with Lowell moving forward? He made some plays tonight.
He still looked really questionable trying to pass the ball, and I think that's a huge problem. Like I said, if you're going to have just the run option, then you're not going to be able to move the ball against a lot of teams. And I think that the pass game, it wasn't like they were just a little bit off. He just couldn't make a lot of the throws, and all year, even when Frank Harris was in there, we're talking about guys not being able to get open. I think these are problems that there's no answers that we saw today for that, just because they had the one nice touchdown play. I think they threw for like 70 yards maybe. I think it's a great win, and they really needed it, and the run game showed that the run game is legit. But until you show a more well-rounded offense, I think you're going to have some problems. And there were still mistakes, like penalties and things like that or just miscues here and there. They had a 4th and goal at the 1. They took a false start.
Yeah.
It wasn't really a clean game
Yeah.
either, and I think that's something you have to be concerned about as well.
After the game, Frank Wilson ran over to the fans that were here in El Paso. The whole team went over there. Not necessarily a sigh of relief, but just kind of like a thank you for the support. What did you think about that? We asked all the players about that too.
Yeah, it was an interesting move by him. I think there's got to be just a sense of, he had to be feeling some kind of pressure coming in.
Yeah.
This was a game they sort of had to win for his job status in a lot of ways. Just because if you start out with 1-4, you're 0-4 against FBS schools,
Yep.
and you lose to the most beatable team on your schedule,
Yep.
then it's really hard to see a positive path forward. Whereas now, that if you really look at it in the big picture, they've lost to 3 really good teams, Army and Baylor and North Texas, and now they've beaten UTEP. So where do they fall is still a question you could ask. Maybe they're better than, we're going to get a great answer the next couple of weeks with Rice and UAB feel like teams that, if you're taking kind of incremental steps forward, those are the teams that you beat to keep moving forward. So,
these may be the 2 real measuring stick games for UTSA moving forward, with or without Frank Harris.
And this one was incredibly important.
Right.
But I think it's the schedule works out well that you continue to learn based on who they play. I think it sets up quite well for them.
Big showdown in the Dome 1 week from tonight. Greg Luca, first time in the Sun Bowl. What were your first reaction? There's a little construction going on, but
there's just
little historic place, side of a mountain.
I like the mountains. The mountains are cool. It's
Yeah.
good to have some scenery with your football. And it was a long walk down there.
Yeah.
And an even longer walk back up.
Yeah. Well, that'll wrap it up. You got anything else?
No, that'll do it.
Let's get out of El Paso. JJ Perez, Greg Luca, UTSA Inside Runner Sports post-game wrap-up. Thanks for watching.